So the chapter concludes with Paul quoting from what's probably, I would say, one of the greatest Advent chapters in all of Scripture, Isaiah 40. And he quotes Isaiah 40, verse 13, when he says, "Who has known the mind of the Lord, that He may instruct him?" But Paul goes on to say, he doesn't just leave the question there. He says, "But we have the mind of Christ." So Isaiah, the prophet, was left with a question. When he's talking about Jesus coming, he's saying, who can understand? Who has known God's mind? And Paul says, got an answer. Everyone who belongs to Christ. God comes to us in weird, unique, and sometimes hard ways. Maybe it's in the loss of a job, a family crisis, a mental breakdown, or some situation we don't understand. Maybe you find yourself locked in something that you wish you could escape, but you can't, and you say, why are things the way they are right now? It doesn't make sense to me why God would allow this. When you're at that point, it's not that God has turned His back on you. It's not that your great high priest just said, I'm done with you. I'm finished. No. When you realize I am low and I don't know where to go, you're not in any different place than the disciples were when they were stuck in the middle of a storm that they knew, unless we have divine help, we're dead. Why would God, who has all this power, we think, not protect me, my family, my work, my relationships? How can I live like everything is right when it's clearly not? You're talking about all this new vision that I'm supposed to have. Well, I'm looking around and I don't see anything new. How am I supposed to live? As the author of Hebrews says in Hebrews chapter 2, we don't yet see all things put under His feet. But we see Jesus. Paul is not saying to pretend that everything is all right. Neither did Jesus pretend that everything was all right when He faced trials, suffering, and death. But when these trials come, our great high priest walks with us through them. When the storm comes, He's there. When you feel lost, He is there. When you feel alone, He is there. You may not feel like He's there, but we know He's promised He is. Yes, we may fall and embarrass ourselves. We may think we've messed up, but dear saint, you don't know the end of your story. This is the God who works in and through our weakness, not in spite of our weakness. He takes you wherever you are and He uses you. He works things in you that He would not work in anybody else. And He uses vessels like us. He's working things in you, in your best points and in your weakest points. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter how weak or strong you are, you can rest upon Him in faith and you can play your role in His kingdom. That's the good news of the mystery of God.